Dear listeners, I'm going to tell you a story, but first, let me ask you a question. Have you ever ignored a warning or failed to take someone's warning seriously only to regret it later? Now, back to our story. One that unfolded right here in the quiet town of Oginze. Everyone in town knows Madam Nneoma, wealthy, successful, and generous to a fault. She ran the most popular fashion store in town, selling all kinds of fabrics and luxurious clothing. She had everything: money, power, a reputation as a kind hearted woman who helped the less fortunate. People spoke of how she rose from nothing to build her empire, and she was always the first to donate during community events. But what many didn't know was the dark side hidden behind all those wealth and success. On the other hand, there is a young girl named Amaka, a bright 23-year-old who had been searching for a job for months. Amaka was the kind of girl who carried hope in her heart and determination in her step. She lived with her family in Okinze, and after many failed attempts at landing a job, she was overjoyed when Madam Nneoma offered her a position at her prestigious fashion store. It was a dream come true for Amaka, or so she thought. From the moment she started, Madam Nneoma seemed to take a liking to her. Amaka was smart, beautiful, and hardworking. For the first few weeks, everything seemed perfect. But there was something strange that happened one afternoon that stuck with Amaka. On her way to fetch a drink for Madam Nneoma, a man she had never seen before stopped her. His expression was serious, almost worried. "Be careful with your boss," he warned, in a low voice. "She's not what people think she is." Amaka was startled, confused even, but she dismissed the warning, not giving it much thought. After all, Madam Nneoma had been nothing but kind to her. Days passed, and then came the morning that changed everything. Amaka was used to being the first to arrive at the store, but on that particular day, Madam Nneoma had called to say she would be coming in late. She asked Amaka to handle the store in her absence, and Amaka, always eager to prove herself, agreed. It was around mid-morning when a well-dressed man walked into the store. He was looking for some high-quality fabrics for his wife, he said. Amaka showed him several beautiful pieces, but the man insisted on taking them to his car so his wife could choose. When she politely refused and explained that the store policy required payment first, he suggested calling her boss and claimed to be her boss's special customer. Amaka dialed her boss's phone number, but just as the phone connected, something strange happened. She suddenly felt lightheaded, as if the world around her was spinning, and suddenly everything went blank. Next, she found herself surrounded by a crowd, with Madame Nneoma screaming at her. The fabrics were gone, three of the most expensive pieces. "Where are my fabrics?" Madame Nneoma yelled. Amaka was surprised. She didn't know what had just happened. One minute she was about to call her boss, and the next she was being accused of losing a fortune worth of goods. Amaka pleaded her innocence, explaining that she had no idea how the fabrics disappeared, but Madam Nneoma wouldn't hear of it. Madam Nneoma demanded that she pay for the missing fabrics, a sum so large that it was unimaginable for Amaka. Her family was called, and after much negotiation, an agreement was reached. Amaka would have to work for Madam Nneoma without pay until the debt was cleared. Amaka was heartbroken, but with no other choice, she had to agree. Every month, her salary was used to cover the debt. But then, when she thought things couldn't get any worse, Madam Nneoma accused her of stealing yet again. This time it was a box of goods that had supposedly gone missing. Amaka knew this was a lie. She had personally handed the box to Madam Nneoma and her brother the week before, but now they both denied ever receiving it. Amaka's family was outraged. They refused to let her continue working under such conditions and offered to pay the debt in monthly installments instead. But Madam Nneoma refused. She had Amaka arrested instead, insisting she wouldn't be released until the debt was paid in full. Amaka spent the night in a cold police cell, her hope shattering with each passing hour. It wasn't until her family scraped together the money, borrowing from friends and neighbors, that she was finally released. But the incident had left her heartbroken, and questions began running through her mind. Was Madam Nneoma truly as kind and generous as she appeared to be? Or could there be something far darker hidden beneath her flawless appearance? A few weeks later, Amaka ran into that same man, the one who had warned her. This time she demanded answers. It turns out Madam Nneoma wasn't as generous as everyone thought. She had been running a scam for years, targeting young people who seemed vulnerable and using them as pawns in her sick game. She would hire and frame them for theft and then force them to pay her back huge sum of money. It was all a plot of her scheme to grow her wealth. The man revealed that the theft of the fabric had been orchestrated by Madame Nneoma and that he knew because his best friend had been the one to carry it out. Madame Nneoma had even used some kind of dark magic, giving the man a powder that made Amaka blank out for those moments she went blank. Amaka was devastated, but she wasn't about to stay silent. She took her story to social media, posting anonymously and urging others who had suffered under Madame Nneoma to come forward. Her post went viral within days and soon more victims began sharing their experiences. It wasn't long before the whole town knew the truth. Madame Norma's reputation was shattered and her business was boycotted by customers. Public outrage grew and eventually even her most loyal supporters turned against her. With her empire crumbling and her dark secrets exposed, Madame Norma fled Obinze in disgrace. Amaka, though deeply scared, felt a sense of justice. Her bravery had not only freed her, but also saved others from falling into the same trap. In the end, the town of Obinze would never forget how Madame Nneoma, the woman who seemed so perfect, had been brought down by the very people she tried to exploit. And Amaka, despite everything, emerged stronger, knowing that even the most powerful can be defeated when the truth finally comes to light. And so, my dear listeners, we have come to the end of this story. This story teaches us that courage in the face of injustice can lead to a great change. Amaka's bravery in standing up against her powerful boss shows us that even when the odds are against us, speaking out and fighting for justice can inspire others and bring about positive change. I also hope you have learned a lot too from this story. Until next time, bye bye.